Now let us understand the concept of nuclear force or force between nucleons. Okay, so here what are the logics given behind the existence of nuclear force? That we need to understand first, then we'll come to the properties of this force. Okay, so we will discuss here about the existence of the nucleus. Okay, so in a nucleus there are two types of particles, protons and neutrons. Now, protons are charged particle. They have charge also and mass also. And neutrons have no charge but mass is present. Okay. Now, how many types of forces are present inside the nucleus? That we need to discuss here. We have to discuss about the forces. So, you can see, first of all, the protons are charged particles. Okay. So, if we discuss between the forces due to the charges, so between proton and proton, the electrostatic force of repulsion will work. Okay, so the first force is electrostatic force of repulsion because of the similar kind of charge on the protons. So all the protons will experience the electrostatic force of repulsion force. Now this force, how it is? It is repulsive, as you can see, and it is strong enough. Okay, now what other force can be present? So you see, between neutrons, due to the charge, there will not be any force because neutrons are chargeless particles. So between neutrons, no electrostatic force is there. Now what can be the other force? So that is due to the mass then. Now mass is present with both the types of nucleons, and due to the mass, okay, that means between proton neutron or neutron neutron, or between neutron and proton, proton proton. So whatever pair we can make between all these pair, there is one force which exists due to their mass. So due to the mass, the force that exists, we call it gravitational force. Gravitational force is always attractive in nature, as you already know, and strength wise gravitational force is considered to be very weak. Or if we see the relation between the ratio between this electrostatic force and this gravitational force, then Fe upon Fg is around 36 times, 10 raised to power 36 times, sorry. Okay, so Fe is 10 raised to power 36 times stronger than gravitational force. So now just combine all these logics inside the nucleus. Okay, inside the nucleus there are protons and neutrons, and there are two forces which are present inside the nucleus. One is the electrostatic force of repulsion, that is very strong, and the attraction force, gravitational force of attraction, this is very weak. That means if we only consider the existence of these two forces only inside the nucleus, then you can see that the repulsive force is much stronger than the attractive force. So can all the nucleons be together in the nucleus? Okay, so the answer is no. That means this nucleus cannot remain stable. That means now here we have to introduce one more force for nuclear stability. Okay, that means one more force actually exists inside the nucleus that helps to bind all the nucleons together. So with that logic, the nuclear force term came. Okay, it got introduced. So note down. So the logic we can write, since the attractive force to keep the nucleons together is weaker. Okay, the gravitational force is weaker. So attractive force to keep nucleons together is weaker than the repulsive force. So if only these two forces exist inside the nucleus, then nucleus cannot remain stable. Okay, so a third force also exists inside the nucleus, that is called nuclear force. So how we can define the nuclear force? The force between nucleons. Okay, now with respect to all these discussions which we had just now, we can make some properties, we can list down some properties of the nuclear forces. So let us make the properties of nuclear forces. Okay, first of all, should it be repulsive or attractive in nature? So obviously, to support the gravitational force of attraction, this should also be attractive in nature. So first property is attractive. Second property is that it should be strong or weak. So obviously it has to support the weak gravitational force against the Coulomb's law of Coulomb's electrostatic force of repulsion. So it should also be strong enough. So actually it is found that it is strongest in nature. This is the strongest force in nature. So later the ratio also was calculated. So if we write the ratio of all the three forces inside the nucleus, then Fg is very weak, Fe is stronger, and Fn. So gravitational, electrostatic and nuclear force. The ratio of all the three is 1 is to 10 raised to power 36 is to 10 raised to power 38. So nuclear force is the strongest force in nature. Okay, then we can discuss the third property. We have here, now the third property should be about long range or short range force. So obviously the nuclear force existence we have discussed only for the nucleus. Okay, and that size is very small. That means the third property about the nuclear force is that it should be a short range force. Okay, its requirement is only inside the nucleus. So that means it is the short range force. Fourth point we can discuss that there are two types of nucleons, proton and neutron. So should we restrict it between any one kind of nucleons only? So the answer is no. Nuclear force should be present between both the types of nucleons. That means it should be charge independent. The nuclear force between neutron-neutron or neutron-proton or proton-proton is approximately same. That means it is charge independent. Okay. Now fifth property we can discuss here, that the nature of the nuclear force may also change. Okay. So it's this way that if the two nucleons are very close. Okay. If the two nucleons are very close, then in that case the force of the nuclear force nature will be repulsive, and if the two nucleons go very far, then the nuclear force nature will become attractive. So how it is related and which graph supports it, that we need to understand here. So we are moving to the next sheet to understand that graph. So that property number 5 we will list down there only. Okay, so note down. Let's discuss about the fifth property of the nuclear force, that means the shift or switching of the force from attractive to repulsive. Okay, so how it is happening? For that we have a graph of potential energy for a pair of nucleons as a function of their separation. So this is the graph shown. You can see this is potential energy scale, this is the separation scale in Fermi meter. Okay, now what is happening here? Suppose we talk about a pair of nucleons. That means suppose two nucleons are present at some distance. Now what is the behavior of the nuclear force between them? It's this way that when the two nucleons are very close, okay, when the two nucleons are very close to each other, then the nuclear force tries to repel them. Okay, and because the force is repulsive, so potential energy is positive. Okay, potential energy is positive. And if the two nucleons are very far, okay, very far, then the nuclear force tries to attract them. That means that time the potential energy is of negative sign. That means there is a particular border, okay, we can call it R0. So the two nucleons should always maintain a particular distance. Okay, the two nucleons should always maintain a particular distance with respect to each other, that we can call R0. So when they come very close, that means R less than R0, then nuclear force tries to separate them. That means it will become repulsive. And repulsive means potential energy, means how repulsive force has come, because in potential energy graph we have got positive sign. Okay, you can see if this is the distance R between two nucleons, then, and this is R0 the border line, if the distance R is less than R0, that means this side. So that means the two nucleons have come very close to each other. So the nuclear force tries to repel them. Between the two nucleons, the nuclear force is repulsive. That means potential energy is positive. You can see it is positive. And if the two nucleon distance becomes very large, then R0. Okay. So if this separation between two nucleons becomes very large, they are very far, then nuclear force is attractive between them, and that time the potential energy is negative. So you can see the switch is there, that this is negative side energy. Okay, so R0 is that border line which will divide the nuclear force nature. How? With the help of separation between the two nucleons. If the two nucleons are very close, they should be far apart, so repulsive. If the two nucleons are very far, that means one distance, two distance or three distance, then the nature of nuclear force will be attractive. So potential energy sign is negative. So here we, in the fifth property, we have understood a very particular behavior of the nuclear force, that is the switch in its nature. And that switch depends upon the distance between the two nuclei, two nucleons. Okay, so this is the idea about the fifth property. Detail. Let us understand now the mass energy relation in terms of mass defect and binding energy concept. Now these two concepts are very important in our nuclei chapter. Okay, let us understand now mass defect. Mass defect is the difference between the masses of constituent nucleons and the mass of the final nucleus. Okay, this is called mass defect. We'll denote it by delta M. Now here we are mainly focusing on the stability of a nucleus. Okay, now understand this logic. Suppose there are a number of nucleons like proton, proton, neutron, neutron. They are initially separated. Okay, they all are separated. Okay, and now they have to frame a nucleus. They have to get combined, and all P, P, N, N, they have to make a nucleus. Okay, now we are seeing that this is the event, that all the separated nucleons, they want to make a final nucleus in which they all are combined. Okay, now any event will take place only when the energy of the final term is less. That means it has gained the stability. Okay, so if we say that the total mass, of all these nucleons, if we add all the masses, MP plus MP plus Mn plus Mn, there can be more. I am just taking the example. So suppose there are whatever nucleons are initially present, if the total mass of this system is Mi. Okay, total mass of all the nucleons is suppose Mi, that means initial mass of all these particles. And when they have combined together, then if we calculate the total mass after combining, that means final mass. So always for the stability, we should achieve this, that final mass should always be less, because mass less means energy less. So final system has less energy, that's why it is stable. Okay, so for gaining the stability, the final thing should always go towards the less mass or less energy. Then only it is stable. Okay, we can write always the final product should have less mass or less energy for gaining stability. So you remember, you always take this point in mind clear, that whenever we talk about the stability, the final energy should be minimum. Final energy should be less. Okay, so because here the mass was more, that means energy was more, that means this system was unstable. That's why they went to a stability. And stability means the final mass should be less. That means there is a difference in the masses. Okay, so this difference, okay, difference between the individual nucleons masses and in the mass of the final nucleus, whatever difference is there, that we call mass defect. Okay, so whenever any nucleus is formed, So some mass difference will also appear, and equivalent to this mass difference, the energy will be released. Okay, so Mi minus Mf c square. So what is the idea? Mass defect formula, let us relate first of all. The difference between the masses of constituent nucleons and the mass of the final nucleus. So Mi minus Mf, this is called delta M. Obviously Mf will be smaller if any nucleus is being formed. Okay, so Mf should be smaller, then only this event is supported, otherwise it is not supported. Okay, so Mi minus Mf is called delta M, and when these nucleons will combine together, okay, so you are seeing that some mass is released, suppose here total mass is 4 kg, and here total mass which we are getting, that is 3 kg. That means 1 kg mass has released. Now you can say mass is released, or you can say mass into c square, that means energy is released. So for any event, if stability is achieved, we want to achieve the stability, that means some energy should be released, and that energy how to get? Equivalent to how much mass is released. So delta M into c square is called the energy released. Okay, so let us make now the mass defect formula for any standard nucleus. Okay, now let us make the formula for ZXA in the next sheet. Note down. Let us take this nucleus ZXA. We have to make now a standard formula for mass defect delta M. Okay, now what is the nucleus? Let us make here. You can see in this nucleus, Z means number of protons. So Z are protons. Z number of protons are there, and number of neutrons always how do we write? A minus Z is always the number of neutrons. Okay, so initially when all these protons and neutrons were separate, then what were their mass? Initial mass. Okay, so delta M means Mi minus Mf we have to write. So initially when all were separated, what is the total mass? So Z into mass of each proton. So this is total mass of protons plus A minus Z into mass of neutron. Okay, mass of each neutron. So this is total mass of neutrons. So total mass of protons, total mass of neutrons. So this is total mass of all nucleons. Okay, now when all these clubbed together, they made a final nucleus. Suppose their mass is capital M denoted. So this formula is the formula for mass defect. Okay, Z into Mp plus A minus Z into Mn minus final mass of nucleus, is nucleus of mass of the final nucleus. Okay, so this is the delta M formula. So in the numericals, we have to apply this formula according to whichever nucleus is given. Like if suppose 2He4 is given, or whatever 8O16 is given, so A, Z are these values, Z, A. Okay, so this is about the mass defect. Now let us come to the binding energy. Note down. So after the mass defect, the term next is binding energy. Its definition is energy equivalent to mass defect, or delta M into c square will be its formula. Now to understand this concept, let us take the example again, that same example. As we have said before, that whenever any nucleus is formed, so initially suppose all the nucleons were separated, okay, and then they are moving towards an event in making the nucleus. So earlier initially all the nucleons were separated, and now they are combining together. Okay, so suppose here initial mass of all the nucleons is Mi, and here final mass of this nucleus is Mf. So in order that this event is supported, that means this nucleus is finally stable, the final mass should always be less. Okay, this final mass should always be less. That means some mass is released. Okay, some mass of this value is released in this event. I'll take the example. Suppose this is 10 kg, total mass of these nucleons is 10 kg, and when they all came together to make a nucleus, suppose now the final nucleus mass is 7 kg. That means you can see from a 10 kg system, finally we are getting a 7 kg system. That means 3 kg mass is released. Okay, that means MIE minus MF mass is released. Now mass will be released in form of energy. So 3 kg into C square. Okay, mass into C square is called energy. So this much energy is released in this event. So whatever this energy is released, that we call binding energy. Okay, so binding energy is what? Delta M means whatever mass is released into C square. Okay, so binding energy concept is this. Now binding energy is actually related to the stability of the nucleus. Like binding energy should be more or should it be less if we want a stable nucleus. So I'll take one more example here only. Suppose we have one system that we are moving from 10 kg to 7 kg. Okay, suppose one more nucleus formation is taking place, that initial mass was 10 kg and final mass we are getting 6 kg. Now just think that this event 1, in this event 1 we will get stable nucleus, or in this event 2 we will get the stable nucleus. In which case we will get a more stable nucleus. Here final mass is less, and final mass less means final energy less. And as I have told you in the previous sheet, we always want the final energy less. So stability wise, we have to remember two concepts, and we don't have to mix that two concepts. These are two separate terms. First of all, for stability, final energy or final mass should always be less. Okay, should be less. And binding energy wise, what should we remember? Binding energy wise, binding energy should be more or binding energy should be less. So let us just check. Here the binding energy is what? 10 minus 7, 3 into C square, 3 kg into C square. Here the binding energy is what? 10 minus 6, 4 kg into C square. So this case is the one which is more stable, because final mass is less or final energy is less, and that means the binding energy released, binding energy means energy released, should always be more. So remember these two concepts for the stability. Okay, what are the two concepts? For gaining the stability in any event or in the formation of the final nucleus, final energy or final mass should always be less, but binding energy, that means energy released, should always be more. Now these are actually, this is a single point only. You can see it from these two examples. Okay, जितना final mass कम आएगा, फाइनल मास कम कब आएगा? जब एनर्जी रिलीज ज़्यादा होगी. सो दोनों चीज़ें एक ही है, स्टेबिलिटी गेन तभी होगी. ओके, सो दिस वे वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड. फाइनल मास शुड बी लेस और फाइनल एनर्जी शुड बी लेस, एंड released energy should be more. That means binding energy should be more for stability. Okay, now we will do calculation in the next sheet. Now students, we will make one standard formula first of all for numericals. Binding energy formula is delta M into C square. Delta M in the numericals we will obtain on the basis of number of neutrons and protons, but that all will be in AMU. So directly let us get one formula, one relation, that what is the binding energy equivalent to 1 AMU mass effect. Okay, so let us make this binding energy. Binding energy is delta M into C square. Delta M is 1 AMU. C square means 3 into 10 raised to power 8 square. 1 AMU is 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kg. And here square is there. If we multiply, we will get the answer in joule, because both the terms are in the SI system. So the answer in the joule will come 14.9 into 10 raised to power minus 11 joule. But we need to get all the energies in terms of electron volt. So in order to convert this joule into electron volt, we have a relation that says 1 electron volt equal to 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 joule. So 1 joule equal to 1 upon 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 electron volt. So if I want to replace this joule, so in place of this joule, I'll write 1 upon. So I am removing this joule from here and I am writing this term. Okay, in place of 1 joule, this whole term I have put here. So this way the answer which will come in the electron volt, that will be 931 into 10 raised to power 6 eV. And that also we can write what? 10 raised to power 6 means mega. So we can write it mega electron volt. Mega means capital M. So we have got the binding energy. That means we can remember this relation that 1 AMU mass defect means 931 mega electron volt energy. So this relation is very important for the numericals. So I hope you have understood the conversion. Now we'll apply it to numericals. Now how to solve the numerical based on mass defect and binding energy. Let us understand this question number 1. Let us see. The question will be such that one nucleus will be given. Okay, so He nucleus is given to He4. Now we have to calculate its binding energy. So as we know that binding energy relation we have already got, that 1 AMU's binding energy is 931 mega electron volt. Okay, so if mass defect is 1 AMU, equivalent energy is this. That means here we will only solve mass defect and then we'll use this formula for binding energy. So mass defect calculation, delta M, its formula for any Zxa is Zmp plus A minus Zmn minus capital M. Okay, now this is 2He4. We are given the nucleus 2He4. So Z is 2, A is 4. That means 2 into, now Mp is given 1.00728 in AMU. A minus Z, 4 minus 2 is also 2. Mn, mass of neutron, 1.00867. And minus, what mass we have to subtract? Mass of the final nucleus. So mass defect is that same term which we are discussing. Mass of all nucleons minus mass of final nucleus. So mass of final He nucleus is given 4.00150. We need to solve it. Its answer will come in AMU. Okay. If we solve it, 0.03031 AMU is the answer. So mass defect has come. Now second step, binding energy. So 1 AMU mass defect के लिए binding energy इतना है, तो इतने AMU के लिए binding energy कितना होगा? So we have to multiply this AMU with 931. Okay, so this will give us the binding energy final. Its answer is coming approximately 28.2 mega electron volt. Okay, so I think you have understood how to calculate the binding energy. So पहले हम mass defect solve करेंगे AMU में. 1 AMU की एनर्जी इतनी, तो सपोज 3 AMU आंसर आया, तो 3 AMU की एनर्जी कितनी हुई? 3 इंटू 931. सो जो भी AMU में आंसर आया है उसे 931 से मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे तो वो बनेगी बाइंडिंग एनर्जी मेगा इलेक्ट्रॉन वोल्ट में. ओके, सो दिस इज सेकेंड केस. नाउ वी आर रिक्वायर्ड टू सॉल्व अनदर टर्म्स. कैलकुलेट बाइंडिंग एनर्जी पर न्यूक्लियन. सो बाइंडिंग एनर्जी पर न्यूक्लियन means the binding energy answer we have to divide by number of nucleons. Number of nucleons means A. So what is A for helium? It is 4. So 28.2, this is the binding energy answer in mega electron volt. We have to divide it by 4. Okay, so according to the question, according to the nucleus, we will solve it. Now fourth term, packing fraction. Packing fraction meaning is delta M upon A. Mass defect upon nucleon number. So mass defect is 0.03031 upon mass number or number of nucleons. Its answer is in AMU. You can see. So this is the solution of the question. So this way any kind of nucleus will be given in the question. So in the board paper, generally these type of questions are there. So how to solve the binding energy, you need to understand. So it's very easy. Whichever nucleus is given, that means Z and A is given, you have to solve mass defect first. So mass defect will come, and then that mass defect you have to multiply with 931 to get the binding energy. Okay, and other two terms are also very easy. So that also you need to understand. Okay.